And I started doing this a couple of weeks ago. It's called the 100-Day Project. If you haven't checked it out, it's an Instagram project. What it is basically I've been doing affirmations in watercolor and hand lettering. This is now my 17th day, and I'm going to be collecting in for 100 days. So I'm going to be doing 100, which I think is going to be fabulous. It's actually lifting my spirits. I'm also thinking of this for my daughters, like if, to give one of my kids, my two girls, my son probably wouldn't really go for this, but my two girls, probably, I think both of them actually. So what I could do is maybe scan these. This one I really like. I did this one yesterday. I probably will scan these and create cards for these so that I can give them away more than just to one. But these are so far my 17 or 16, and then this is today, this morning, and this is I can and I will. So what to do this, as I cut, I didn't cut 100 yet, but I cut a lot of 3-inch squares out of cold pressed watercolor paper, and there's my stack. That's probably about 45 or so. And then when I get low, I'll cut some more. But they fit in. I've got a little box that I folded. This is I believe these are 6.25-inch papers. And if you haven't been to our Folded Fridays, we've done this box a couple of times now. So the instructions for this box are actually on the website, on our page. This one is the same box, but it's a lot thicker paper that I hand painted and scripted on, and I thought it was just really nice because it really is nice and sturdy. This is where I will keep my little affirmations. Now, to do the affirmations, here's my process. What you want to do is think of an affirmation, of course, and you can actually find affirmations all over the internet. You can just find little, I like them short and sweet, not too long, but I just kind of printed some out, and I can always make my own as well, depending on what the occasion is or how I feel. But sometimes it's good to just have a reference for affirmations and some lettering styles, different lettering styles. What you'll need is, I got a little bunch of scrap papers here. They're a little bit bigger. These are 4-inch squares, and I cut a lot of them because I kind of use them as just a little place to stretch, kind of get the idea of what I'm going to compose. So what I do is I'm going to think of an affirmation right now. I'll need a pencil. You need a pencil. This is just a 3 or 5 millimeter mechanical pencil. I have a little micron. I was using a glass dip pen to do my lettering. That's a great too. I just kind of stopped doing it because I was smearing it, so I just decided to use the pen because it doesn't smear. But then you need a watercolor brush, round, maybe a couple of sizes of watercolor brushes, and some water and an eraser. So that's what think of affirmations. So 3-inch squares, and if you want to just do, cut a couple of them out now, because we'll do a couple today, or maybe if we have time, we'll do more. But I'm just going to go ahead and think of an affirmation. I've got a whole bunch of them. And I'm thinking about, you can think about a situation or what's happening in your life, or what's happening in the world, whatever it is, something that you would want to just write about. So I think I would like this one today, because I always think about my purpose in life. Not always, but that's something that's like the most important core value is what's your purpose, right? What's my purpose? I can have a purpose for today. I can have a purpose for tomorrow. I can have a purpose for my life, just so I really think I would like to write about I have a purpose, but you can think about what you want to write about or what you want to affirm. So I'm going to just kind of decide. So if I have my 3-inch, this is my 3-inch area here, and I'm just going to write. This, and I have to center it. I have to think about centering the lettering, and then you can redesign it on your 3-inch card. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to write. I have a purpose. I'm doing a really light writing, and you probably can't see it, but this is just kind of a rough sketch of what I'm going to write. So now I'm going to take my card, and I'm going to You just do it. I'm going to get my watercolor, and I'm not going to do the outside yet. I'm just going to do the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and script in any style. You can make up your own style. I think this would be cute. I'm just going to do mine a little bit more, like a narrow writing, just kind of uppercase. And I kind of want to, I'm trying to keep it centered within the line. So I've written I have, and then I'm just going to write A, kind of big, and then do it in the center. Like that. I have A. And then purpose, I want to just kind of script out here. So I'm just going to do it like this. Just hopefully I can center it. If I can't center it, then I can erase it and do it over again. All right, I have a purpose. There it is. You can't see it, but I do. So now I'm going to go ahead and do it in black lettering. And then I can erase this after it's done. But when I do this, I'm writing the affirmation. Of course, I'm talking, I'm saying it too. So it's also good when you're doing anything like this, is thinking about the affirmation and then really imprinting it in your brain and in your spirit, because you're writing it, you're thinking it, you're saying it out loud, and then you're going to be doing a little watercolor painting around it. You're going to be kind of like framing it in a beautiful way. And that, to me, just strengthens the affirmation, and it becomes really powerful. I'm going to change my A here to be a lowercase because I just think it would look better with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my lettering. And I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it like a faux calligraphy. And what I mean by that is I'm going to thicken the lines after I write them. Now, when I thicken them, you have to think about your downstroke and your upper stroke when you're doing that. So there we go. And then I'm just going to put a period there, so it's all done. Now that is my affirmation for now, for this moment. I could leave these. I'm going to let that eraser, or I'm not going to erase this until I've done the thickening of the lines. So now I'm going to take my downstrokes, whatever I did to go down, right downwards, I'm going to thicken that line, double the thickness. You can do triple the thickness if you want a more dramatic look. So there, that's just double the thickness of that line. You can do it any way you want. There's all types of fun ways to decorate your lettering. Here's another downstroke on the H. I'll just go ahead and thicken that, about double. I could use a thicker pen. It would probably be easier than doing it this way, but I'm just going to keep this one I have. I've got that downstroke thickened. I have to remember how I did this A. I went up and then I went down. So I'm just going to thicken this side on this side of the A, because that's the side that I went downward. Same thing, I will thicken just the V that's this side, because the thin line going back up, so I'll just thicken this side. So what it does, it just makes a really dramatic lettering with your own handwriting style. So whatever your handwriting style, you don't have to be a calligrapher or fancy hand letter, but having a steady hand is probably a good thing. If you have, hopefully that's a good thing. But there is, it looks really interesting now with that thickening. Same thing with the cursive. I'm going to think about what thickening only the areas that I the downstroke. So there, that part of the A is the downstroke, and then this part here on the right side. And now I'll just do the same thing. The downstrokes are nice and fat. And then a little downstroke here. And I did, like I mentioned before, I was doing this with a glass pen, and I thought it was so much fun. But because it was so thick, the watercolor on the glass pen, since I was using watercolor, was actually causing, it was smearing because it was so puddled. I just let it was just too puddled. So here we have, I'm just going on the downstrokes only. And then we get to do any kind of watercolor you want on the outside. Let's do a simple one to start for this first one, and then we could do another one with time allowing. We can do another one with little flowers or something, but why don't we do something kind of simple? And I'm thinking of a heart shape because a heart shape is fun to do around these affirmations. And the heart shape is always makes me smile when I do something with a heart. So there, we need reasons to smile these days. Okay, so there it is. That is my affirmation. Now I need to give that a little bit of time to dry. And I'm welcoming the person who came in. We just got started doing affirmations, and then we'll do the watercolor around the affirmation. So what I'm going to do is take the paper that I had, the little barrier paper that's a little larger. That is now my surface that I might be painting on, because I'm going to go outside the border. I'm not going to try to stay inside that 3-inch card. So this is going to be my area of painting. This white, a little bit bigger. And I think it's okay if I think I'm okay now to erase. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I'm not smearing the ink. I'm going to go ahead and erase my lettering, and didn't smear. So that's why I love these micron pens. So now it even looks better now that I've erased that. So I'm going to get some paints, and I've got my Daniel's. These are my Schminky paints, and I can use my Daniel Smith. And I'm going to get my Daniel Smith out. I've got more color combinations here. And I'll go ahead, and I'm going to do a heart shape around it. So I've got some, some beautiful, I think that's the opera color and some magenta. And I'm just going to take my brush, and it's a round brush and clear water. I'm going to take some quinacridone magenta. I want plenty of water on my brush. I don't want to have plenty of water, and I don't want to go too dark on my color just yet. So just got some quinacridone magenta, and I'm going to just make I'm going to move kind of quickly. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to kind of go outside. You see I'm going outside the border of my 3-inch card. Like that. I'm just going to do the same on this side. I want to keep it wet, and I don't really care that, oops, there you go, you kind of made it. I don't really try not to make a perfect thing. I need to move fast because I'm doing a wash that's kind of going around in this heart shape around my lettering. I don't want to cover up my lettering. There you go. And just going to make sure I have a wet wash of magenta. And just I can change the shape of the heart as I move around the lettering while it's still wet, so that it doesn't show obvious lines. This is kind of a wonky little heart, which I think is kind of fun. And I'll just go all the way around and outside the card. I've kind of covered up my lettering there, and I'm trying to avoid that, but that's okay. Like that. So there's a little wonky shaped heart, which is fine. I could, if I wanted to take this shape and bring it maybe around, like kind of just sort of make it a little bit more symmetrical here, like that. If I keep working around just kind of going around on the outside till I get that shape that I'm looking for. And that's the one I want. So now I'm going to go ahead and add maybe some ultramarine blue, just to kind of, this is ultramarine blue, which will make a gorgeous purple, just mixing with the magenta. I'm just going to kind of drop it around the sides. And these colors to me are very, they're beautiful colors. So the blue is turning into a gorgeous purple just by dropping it in to that. And really, the less I try to work this, the better the whole thing's going to be. Sometimes I overdo things. So I just going to go ahead and maybe close this little gap here in the bottom of the heart. So I have there, like that. Now, just drop some more of that blue just here and there, making a texture around it. I'm going to let that dry. So we can work on another affirmation. Here I got some little dots here that are, all right. This I'm going to set aside. You can see how much better it looks with, get rid of this. Take away your little barrier paper, and there is a really pretty. I have a purpose, and I'm going to probably come back to that. But that's one affirmation. Now I'm going to take a second I'm going to do a second affirmation, and I think, let's see. I'm going to look through all these. So think about your affirmations, and I'm going to bring up here's I love all these. I love the way these are written. And I got this off, I don't know, if I am off of Google. But I think these are really neat. There's, I like the way they differentiate the lettering a little bit different, you know, rather than just one style. And I have to think, I've got one that I'm going to use. It's just really it's your affirmation. So come on, whatever you have. So I'm going to put I'm going to make my little sketch here. So I'm going to do, I'm just going to write my affirmation. And I'm just going to write it really loose. And then, all right, so I just got and I'll show you that you can't see it, but I will write it in a moment on my 3-inch card. We just want to make sure that since we only have 3 inches to work with, we just want to kind of compose it in that area, you know, to center it. Now I can pencil it in. So I choose faith over fear. That's what I wrote on this one. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put my affirmation right here. I choose. So I'm just going to write it. And going slowly and mindfully in your lettering is always a good thing too, because instead of you can go fast and use your own handwriting too. That's fine. But now I can see I have it way off center. So I'm going to start that over. Sometimes you have to just start. Just start over. It doesn't work. And it's really hard for me. I know there's ways to space lettering really well, but I just do it by eye, and sometimes my eye doesn't work. So I'm going to move my start point over here a little bit, and then I think it should be centered visually a little bit better on the card. And you can tell, you would just want the distance between here and here to be a little bit better. And now I'll just write my words. I love the mixing uppercase with lowercase. Okay, and then I'll write my other part. Somebody else is coming in. See, this is interesting. All right, so I'll start writing it now. So I've got my beautiful affirmation. And now I'll just go ahead and I'm going to script it in a little bit different than I penciled it in, because I can see I still had a little wide area there. So you can always change up your lettering. You don't have to go by your pencil mark. There. And here I'm just going to move the F a little bit over to the left just to center it a little better. And I'm thinking of my lettering, I'm thinking of which is the upstroke and which are the downstrokes while I do this, because that's where you're going to thicken your lines. There we go. And then this one looks like it's cramped a little bit, so I think I'll start that a little bit, maybe stretch it out a little bit. And maybe shorten this one a little bit, but just not to worry. No matter what, your affirmation is yours, and it's beautiful. No matter what your lettering style is, if you just use block lettering, no worries. Just do it. So now I've got this beautiful shape here. I'm just going to change it up, and I might even go bolder, like a little thicker than I normally do, just to see, give it a more dramatic look here. Just fattening those downstrokes really makes a difference. I can't wait to see what everybody else has made, because really your lettering style is it's so uniquely you. And no matter what your lettering style, I think you can still make something really amazing, because it's your lettering style, and then you just kind of decorating it, and instead of just writing something, you're actually mindfully making something, you're creating something with your own lettering, whatever it is. If it gets a little wobbly or something, like I just made mine, go with it. Just make it look like you meant it. Like this one just kind of looks a little on the funny side. There we go. I'm going to make this a lot bolder. You can even do it like thin, like just keep it open. I'm going to close that in like that. just write something that really means something to you. Oops, I just realized that this was not a downstroke, but oh well, just have to pretend like it was. Just have to leave it. Maybe just kind of make that one a little bit more. It is what it is. And this one. And I like to keep these affirmations short because we have little cards, you know, they're not. One thing I do on the back when I'm finished with it is I number them. So that's, and I'm hoping that everyone will be inspired, everybody today will be inspired to just create, 100, as many as you can. You don't have to do 100, but, even 30, if you choose 30 days, one time in the morning, just to give yourself a little time in the morning, which is what I do. I just make these in the morning and then I start my day. And it's a really wonderful way to start your day. It's just making my days a lot more meaningful. And even if everything else goes crazy during the day, I feel like I've done something really good for myself. Making these little artworks, and then someday these little artworks are going to go to my other people. I mean, hoping maybe to my daughters if they wanted them, or friends that would like these. I can just scan them and print them out. You could put them on cards, like a greeting card, or just keep them in a little box and then pull one out every once in a while. When you feel like you need a little something, a little boost for your day. There it is. That one is going to be pretty. I'm gonna let this sit and dry a little bit. I'm gonna come back to this one. I love this one, but it needs a little more texture, something. So I think what I'm gonna do, I love the colors. This quinacridone magenta and that blue just made a gorgeous purple. I'm gonna make, let's see if I've got my brush here. I'm going to take some more of that blue, ultramarine blue. Maybe I'll do a little turquoise, something a little more, some phthalo blue maybe. And I'm gonna make tiny little shapes of I think I wanna make little hearts, but I have to practice it. I'm gonna practice it here on my paper just to make sure I'm doing it right. But to make little baby hearts, I'm just gonna make little brush strokes. And if you can see, I'm doing one little brush stroke. Oops, that brush isn't gonna let me do that. Let me try a different one. Sometimes it's good to practice. If you have an idea, take a scrap piece because, not all brushes act. If you have a little, like Leah, you had a little lining brush, you can try your lining brush and try different things with it. There we go. So I'm making these little heart shapes with a small detail brush. I'm just gonna make little tiny hearts kind of around this or on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it with that color that I just did. And I'm not going really dark. I just kind of thought it'd be fun to try something here. So I'm just gonna go little tiny hearts, and they're just gonna be random, kind of on the page, or not the page, but on the affirmation. Just creating some texture and interest. And I don't want it too bright, and that should fade. It shouldn't be that dark. As you know, watercolors will fade, or they'll lighten. Making different size hearts. Here I'm going to just go for little tiny ones, and big ones, little baby ones there. Basically, it's that. And I'm not going to do cover the whole thing. But I'm just going to do it until I know I like it, until I think it looks fine. And sometimes you can put something away. You can spend more time on something, or you can spend little time on something, and it just decide what you want to do. So this one, I'll just do a few more. Little tiny little parts. And I know what our purpose can change from day to day, right? Today, my purpose is, I've got an agenda of things to do today. Then you can think of this as the whole overall purpose of what your purpose is. And I'm just going to leave that alone and let that sit. Let it sit, and I can come back to it. Now this one, I can come back to this one, and I'm going to erase the lettering now that it's dry. Okay. Now this one, I think I want to add, I'm going to do some blues, like maybe, not, and I don't really have an idea in mind. I'm just going to loosely paint, and maybe I'll do some little concentric lines or circles or something. I'm just not sure. This is where you can just have fun and just trust that whatever you're going to do, just put the color down and see what happens. So I'm just going to pick up some of the blue that I was using, some of that same blue, and I'm going to go around. I don't want to cover up my circle, my lettering, so I'm going to kind of make a circle. I'm just going to I'm just going to make a circle, going kind of around it. And you should notice I'm going off the page using my background. So there it is. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of that, maybe some turquoise. I've got some turquoise color. And I'm going to go maybe in a different direction. I'm going to go this way. And just kind of, with a wet brush, I'm just going in these circles. I'm going to let them, this is actually going to be kind of one of our classes next week, I think, or sometime during this month. But I'm hinging on my shoulder. I'm just going in circles around the thing, and I'm letting the colors mix together. I'm going to pick another color up. There's another blue, maybe a green color. I don't normally use green very often, so I'm just going to use some green. I'm going to put my finger, I don't want this moving around, so I'm just going to start my circle on the outside. I'm just going to go around, kind of like that. And then maybe some more of that beautiful ultramarine blue that I had. That was a beautiful blue. And I'm just going to start my circle and just keep making circles. And then I'm going to stop once I think I've got enough. That's about it. And you can do your colors like light and darks, just kind of play with circles. Concentric circles. Circles are kind of joined together, and then what's going to happen when you take this off, and you'll see a big difference when I remove it, how that looks. And now I can fill this in if I think that's too, I need a little color there. I'll go ahead and put some color right on this end here. So it kind of looks like it's supposed to. And then you can add colors now. Well, this is still wet. I can add colors. I'm going to add some of that beautiful ultramarine blue. Mix a little of that magenta in it, so it's almost purpley blue. And I'm just going to drop color into the wet areas. Only the wet areas, and just to give some contrast. Let those just kind of go in there, like that. And then I can, if I wanted to, I could just take my circles and draw them around some more, but I really think that's pretty. I'm just going to go to the very edge on that, like that, maybe on the edge of this. While it's still wet, it really helps to use that border, go all the way to the edge. I like that one. And then I might come back in a little bit to make little dots or something, but I like that one just like that for now. So we have these two, we could do more, but let's see, we're doing great time-wise. So this one, I think it looks nice, but I'm going to add some more. Now you could add, you can use white pens, you can use, and I'm going to use a white pen, just because I think it needs some light, because the colors were getting a little dark. So I've got my little white pen, and I'm going to go ahead and just use the scrap paper to kind of get it ready. If you don't have a white pen, that's okay too. I'm just going to drop some white little dots in here in different thicknesses, like thin, thick, thin. You can always widen your dots so that they're not all the same size, like that. Just kind of gives some little sparkle without having to. It just kind of helps. It just helps to add a little interest. And I'm trying to do this of course, doing this in a dark or in already dried areas. You don't want to do this in your watercolors that are already wet. Like that. I think that's fun. So I kind of did that one. I think that one's probably done. Just a little, it has a little texture, or I could kind of bring these little dots around so it meets up with the parts. I'm going to do that. Just kind of joining it so that it's a composition. And really, we treat these little affirmations, each one has it's very special and it's ours. So why not give it TLC in time? And like that. I like that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. One little last thing I think I want to do with this one, I have a little, just a design, an idea. I'm gonna put a blue heart right down here with a little space. Some of that blue that ultramarine blue, but I want to kind of keep it pale. So then I'm going to do it right in this area, right here. And that's sort of like the final little element there, just a little heart. Give it a little TLC, it's right there. We can add a little blue, just a touch of that blue, and there we go. That turquoise or that one I like, so I'm going to put that one aside. And this one, I think it's pretty, I like it. I like it because it kind of has a lot of energy in it. And I could always add some more, maybe some of these little dots might be fun. Or I'm going to grab some metallics because might as well get those metallics out. See if I can get them real quick. I love my little set this little set here. This one has all kinds of gold colors. And this one is one I just recently got. This one has gold and green. That green's beautiful. That sort of, I'm not sure how it's going to look on the paper. And this one is just kind of a mixture. It even has a blue. That's some really gorgeous colors. You can see how they are. These are just little sets. I didn't buy these like this. I actually bought them singly. And I put them in a little winter, one of these little Altoid tins. I'm not really sure. I think I'd like to try. Oh, it's such a decision, but I'm going to go for the green. I'm going to try it on a piece of paper first because I want to see how that looks before I make the commitment. This green may look great and it may not. So I'm going to just try it on my little border that's here because now that's a very precious little piece. So I don't want to just mess it up. Now that's the color. And I think it may be a little weird. It looks almost brown. So that's not the color I want. So I'm going to try this other blue and see how that one looks. It takes a little longer for metallic paints to dissolve. So just take your time on it. So that one is kind of what I was looking for. That's a blue color. And I think that would be more appropriate for this one. I'm trying out a new brush today, so I don't have as much control, which is probably good. So this, I think that'll look fine. I just want to go ahead and do it. So move this out of the way. And I'm going to add a little, use this blue. And I'm going to create maybe some, I don't know what I'm going to create here. Just little random shapes. They don't have to be perfectly, they're just random. They're not dots. They're just sort of random shapes. Hi, Dale. He just came back from his bike ride. He didn't go for very long, so I hope it went out okay. All right, I'm just going to put some over here. So just creating texture and composing something around your design it's good. Gives you, it's like, and it's very meditative to just make little marks with your watercolors. Just random. This looks like a spatter, but I don't want to spatter over my lettering, so I'm kind of making a controlled spatter is what I'm doing. You can kind of pretend like I spattered. And if I wanted to, I could cover that up and then spatter around it. You could just mask off your lettering and do that. But I like that. I'm just going to let that sit like that. So we are at, we're 12:36 now, time-wise, so we've still got some time. Now I wanted to show you okay, so I've got two so far. So my next one, I want to just show you, if you wanted to do instead of doing your affirmation first, you may want to do your border first. So I'm going to just do this, show you some flowers. And I'm going to try to leave a space there, and then I'll try to compose my space after I paint flowers. So this one, I'm going to paint some kind of sort of stylized roses, I think. And I'm going to use, what that is. That's a purple color. Maybe I'll use some of this, kind of a, I don't know what this is, quinacridone purple. I'm going to create a, that's my little hair sticking out. I'm going to make a little shape here in the corner, but my rose is going to be on the outside of this. So I'm not going to make it inside this 3-inch. I'm going to make it go off the side. So I'm going to make the center of my rose start right here. So I'm just going to kind of make a little, I don't know what you call it. It's like a little random shape here for the center. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, right down on here. I'm going to kind of create a little shape that will be the center of the rose. And then this one, the center of the rose is going to be right on the very corner, just on the corner, in fact, onto the scrap. So these are 3 focal points I'm going to start with. I'm going to go use some dark color. That's not the color I'm looking for. Let's see, what is this? What do I have here? I don't know. Maybe like a really dark Payne's gray or something. I'm not seeing that. Okay, I'll just go ahead. I'm going to darken those a little bit more because those are going to be focal points. Now I'm going to take some opera color, some nice, pretty bright pink color. I can make them blue. I mean, you can make your flowers any color you want. Maybe I will. I'll add some of this blue with more of that magenta. I'm going to make it purple, but it will be leaning towards the blue. And I'm going to just create little C shapes around, starting in the center. We've done this before. We've made little flowers before. We've just created stylized flowers. This is the first petal right here. And then I'll do another petal on this one here. Kind of see I'm pushing the brush down and then I'm coming back to the center part, making my first little C. It's kind of like a C. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this one I'm going to go off the side of it a little bit. Yeah, like that. I can drop color in while it's still wet, new colors. Now, I'm going to take, just take some more color, but I'm going to make it a little lighter than what I just started with. So I'm going to go lighter in tone than what I have here. So I'm going to make my second C. I'm going to go, I'll start with this one, making it kind of go around here, yeah, like that. And I want it to loop around. I want it to go off the page because I'm trying to make it look like it's off that page. So here's my second petal on that one. And then my second petal on this one is going to be right down here, and I'm going to go off the page like that. Just pretend like it's, and that, since I know that's not going to be part of the flower of the painting, I won't care for the affirmation. And I'll make my other one here. No, I'll even just join this one here like that. And then this one, and I'm kind of putting some blues, mixing some blues. I'm just making that kind of shape, flower petal shapes. One, and I'll just do this one a little bit. Now I've got to remember, so just curving that. I'm going to add a little bit of that pink because I'm using, and it's starting to, colors are so different now. I'm just going to make that, add some pink to that. And same with this one, add some pink, opera pink. Bring this, so I've got these little sort of rose petal things happening. They're very stylized. They're not realistic at all. And I'm going to bring that around like that. So it's going off the page and then one more over here. So I think I've got enough on that. And then this one, I think I have enough, and I'll probably put one more right in here. Just a little petal right there. Make it loose, you know, you don't want to overthink these. I think I was kind of tight on that. So let it go like that. I'm going to lift it out, up and look at it a little bit before I go back down. See how my flowers are now on the outside. So I'm going to take a fresh piece of paper. I can come back and layer to do more with these flowers, but those are kind of my flowers. Now I'm going to do some leaves. I'm going to take a little bit bigger brush, just a different brush here, and this is I'm going to do some leaves, and I'm going to just try some different colors. This one I've got like it looks like a sap green. And I'm just loading up my brush, and I'm not going to I just want to keep this area open. So I'm just going to go and start, I'm just going to see what I can make here. Making the leaf, half of the leaf, and then I'm just bringing the other half up here. That's okay. Like that. I could decide. I think making the leaves big this time are going to be fun. So I'll take another one and bring it this way. And just kind of just create some leaves, and they're kind of coming from the outside to the towards the center of the page. I keep saying page, but you know what I mean. There we are. There we go. I'm trying to make the little bigger leaves than I normally do. I always make them so delicate because these are such small little paintings. We tend to kind of tighten up a little bit, but that's why we want that larger area to work from. Okay, maybe it's little, maybe one coming from this way, but not as big. Yeah, maybe that's big. And maybe one from here, but smaller. And just kind of vary the sizes of your leaves and the directions. And that's probably enough on that. Maybe I'll add one here. I can always make small little ones. It always kind of varying them gives the feeling of depth. Or if you make smaller and bigger, it gives a feeling of depth, or depth and distance. I guess that's what I'm looking for. And what I think would be fun to do is make some little stems or lines, some kind of linear something. And I'm going to take a really small brush. And before I do that, I just see that I need to take my green here and sort of get some yellow kind of tones in here. That's just too much of a blue-green for me. So I'm just going to glaze it over with a little bit more yellow tone or gold tone in it. Now you could even use quinacridone gold, which I believe is right in there. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful color. Quinacridone gold really will warm up things, but it won't make them muddy. So now what I could do is I could make some little vines, or I'm just going to try something different because I thought, why not? All right, so I'm just going to make little thin lines kind of going through this, but not on the flowers. Just making some random like lines, little twig lines. I'm going off the side of the page, off the side. I'm going to take a little bit of brown, because I want some brown color. That kind of brownish green, and do the same thing. Just bringing, it kind of just curves and vines and sticks, little shapes kind of going around. Now, if I look at it from here, see how it's closing in? It's closing in the design a little bit. Now, what I could do too is while I'm doing this, I'm going to add a little kind of a blue background. See, just some blue, some nice blue to kind of fill in, but not really. I'm not going to cover up my little area here, but just some little fields of blue to kind of make it look like maybe a sky is in the background. I'm just kind of dotting it in and moving, and not really trying to be too tight. Just little loose areas of blue here. And I want to fill in those, get those edges kind of filled in, or have color in the edges. So I'm going to look at it from here, and now I'm liking it more. See how it's now become a nice little border. And then for the very last bit, I'm just going to take these little blue areas, and I'm just kind of making them extend just a little bit, coming in like this, like little strands of blue. Now that's it. Now I'm ready. I can come back and darken or add some more in the flowers, add some more detail. I'm going to just take some, this is some purple, I think. I don't know what that is. Each palette I have is so completely unique. You never know. I'm not used to using one. This one I'm going to add some dark, really dark little details right in the centers of the buildings. As dark as I can get them. So I'm just going to really almost just dense dark color, just some little dots. Same thing here and on this side. So that kind of brings some focus to that. Now I see, I like the idea of doing 3. I don't want to have 4 on each side, so I'll just leave that alone, even though I'm tempted to do something right there. Just tempted. I don't know why. And then you can always detail your flowers with just another layer of color, like just a little, with the same color. You can detail those just by going around. Once they've dried, you can kind of define those petals a little bit. Like that. So that kind of looks a little bit more flowery. Now this area needs something, and I don't know what. Oh, I know what I need to do. I'm going to make little purpley berries or some kind of, or maybe buds, little flower buds, something that kind of matches that color, but it's not exactly a repeat. So I'm just making a purple mixture, purpley blue, and I'm going to go in here and make some little buds, just little random kind of flower buds. Yeah, it's long. I think there's just 4 or 5. That's it. I'm gonna leave that alone. No, I'll go to the edge here. I just don't want to keep touching the edge. All right, so there it is. And if I wanted to make it consistent, I probably should put some of those little buds over here. Like that. Maybe some over here. little tiny little just buds or whatever they are. And I'm just going to go in those little spaces right there. So now I finished that one. I think that one is good. And I need to put a quote. I need to put an affirmation in there. And I could detail these even more, like putting little lines for the leaves, little, not lines, but veins for the leaves, like that. So this one's much more detailed than the other ones. It took more time. And then once I fill in the affirmation, it will be fun. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'll fill it in at some point. Another thing that I could do, and I thought would be nice, is to take where those little strands are, is to finish those off with the little buds. Those little tiny little strands, they look like they need something like to end them, like little tiny dots. I think that will just totally finish it off with those little lines that I made. They also look like spatters. So there it is. Let's see what these look like now that they've dried. Oh, I love that. You see that in iridescent blue? Ooh, that is so pretty. And I could put some iridescent on this if I wanted. This one is finished, so now that we can see, we've got these, got 2 and a third one on the way in just one session. Doing this in 1 a day is going to be a lot more, it'll be better for you, I think. It'll be more fun. Like I said this morning, so this is the one I did this morning. So I'll show you, move that up a little bit so you can see it. There. All right, there they are.